I want to talk about Arizona's new immigration enforcement law, the reaction that we're getting from partisan Democrats, ethnocentric interest groups all around the country. And I want you to know, tomorrow I will be broadcasting live on the ground in Phoenix, Arizona. I will be there because this is becoming quickly such an important issue. It is an issue it's vastly important on its own merits. That is, the issues of border security, port security, the issues of illegal immigration, and what kind of immigration policy are we to have, and why are we not enforcing our immigration laws and regulations and policies, and why do we seem condemned to the hell of repeating past mistakes instead of learning from them. I'm going to be discussing that with the newsmakers in Arizona, talking with you, talking with national officials tomorrow. And I've been saying for some time, if the federal government continues to ignore border security and the illegal immigration crisis, the states must act in their own interest. It is without question. But what I have also been saying over the past 5 months, without reservation, without hesitation, we must solve this crisis. We must come together as men and women of good faith and good purpose in observance of the national interest and get this resolved. What is the rationalization, the apology, if you will, to permit our borders to remain wide open and unprotected and insecure while we commit thousands of our troops to the war against radical Islamist terror? What is that rationale that permits that? What is the rationale that permits 95% of the cargo that enters this country to remain uninspected? What is the rationale for men and women of good heart, good faith, and clear judgment to permit that to continue? I don't want to hear about Democrat, Republican, conservative, liberal. I just don't want to hear it. We're talking now about the national interest, and we have toadies in every quarter and every faction of this debate and dialogue and discussion on illegal immigration and border security who are selling out to interests other than those of the nation. And that we have to hold. We have to end it. We have to hold it in abeyance, and we have to come together for the best of purposes with the best judgment about how to apply the best values of this nation and solve the problem and quit putting up with those who make money in inciting differences and focusing on those differences and selling poppycock instead of looking at with clear eyes and a clear mind at solutions that will serve the nation. Well, I don't know what the president is thinking about this one. I'll tell you that. He has chosen, it seems to me, to have come out initially as he did back in July of last year. You remember when Henry Louis Gates, the professor at Harvard, got into all of that with the Cambridge Police Department, and the president's reaction, without any knowledge of the facts, was to say that the Cambridge Police Department acted stupidly. Well, that was the last press conference we've seen from this president. I mean, he's now created the greatest record on history, at least where we've had records. I mean, he hasn't had a press conference since he made that mistake. I believe he's made a similar mistake by weighing into the state of Arizona issue without being fully both briefed and informed as to what is going on and what strategy, what direction, and what purpose will be served with that kind of negative intervention rather than positive, forceful leadership for a nation. All of this nation, not just part of its citizens, not focusing on a couple of minority groups, women within those minority groups, instead of all Americans. This president, on occasion, we have to watch him wobble a bit. We hope he will straighten up. We hope that he finds his balance. But he certainly hasn't yet here on this issue. And I assure you, I'm going to do my level best to help him and contribute toward positively a solution here. The president apparently wanted to score some political points. And his first reaction was to call the legislation and the action of the Arizona legislature and its governor misguided. Not exactly what you want to hear from your president, but this is what we heard.
Indeed, our failure to act responsibly at the federal level will only open the door to irresponsibility by others. And that includes, for example, the recent efforts in Arizona, which threaten to undermine basic notions of fairness that we cherish as Americans, as well as the trust between police and their communities that is so crucial to keeping us safe. In fact, I've instructed members of my administration to closely monitor the situation and examine the civil rights and other implications of this legislation. But if we continue to fail to act at a federal level, we will continue to see misguided efforts opening up around the country.
So here is the President of the United States acting as injudiciously as he did in July of last year in Cambridge, in which he had to recant his early judgments and behavior and actions. He will have to do the same when it comes to Arizona. This is not a man leading a nation. This is a man leading an interest group or interest groups. It is time for this president to understand, now he's been in office almost a year and a half, hasn't he? It's time for him to understand he's going to be the president of all people in this country, all citizens, or he is going to be the minority president, the gender president, the group and identity president, and I think that would be to just simply, it would be to simply abdicate the possibilities, to negate the opportunities that he has. And unlike others, I don't want the man to fail. I want him to succeed. But I want him to succeed for the nation, not for his agenda. I want him to succeed for the American people, not for interest groups, not for certain groups of Americans, but for all Americans. And this president has taken not only a hard left turn, but he has turned, for whatever reason, into a man content to deal with only part of his responsibilities. And he's got to begin leading this nation and leading all Americans and representing them.